Let's talk about something else now as well. Richard has mentioned this in the news, and a great fundraising feat. If you come down to just how much money was raised in how much for a short space of time, it's a nice story with a happy ending, and it's with lots of thanks to you if you help contribute along the way. The England Deaf women's football team made headlines earlier this year when it emerged they needed to self-fund their trip to the World Cup in Malaysia next month. They needed to raise £50,000 to get to the tournament after the Football Association withdrew its funding for the team, choosing to spend the money on futsal, a type of football, instead. All looked bleak until they were helped out by the Hockley-based fundraiser and social media guru Simon Harris. He launched a GoFundMe page and spread the word to his followers online, and the money was raised in just 12 days. We're going to chat to Simon in a moment, but first let's hear from Claire Stancliffe. She's a captain of the England Deaf women's team, and she took me back to the start of the story.
So back in April, we found out that the England Deaf women's football team wasn't going to carry on under the FA, and we ended up having to do a massive fundraising campaign to get the team out to Malaysia in September. And if we didn't raise £50,000 by the end of June, we wouldn't be able to go. And within 5 weeks, we managed to do that. So it's been a massive team effort to get us out there, and everyone's really excited to go.
And I gather one of our very own serial fundraisers here in Essex, a chap by the name of Simon Harris, helped. I don't know how you can explain just how significant he was in making that happen.
Yeah, so in the very early stages, we obviously had our own fundraising campaign that was going really well, but it got to the point where things were kind of slowing down a little bit, and Simon came on board and said, right, I want to set up my own fundraising page for you through GoFundMe, and that just went really mad. I mean, we've got probably about £40,000 on his page alone, which is just incredible, and it was his page that took us over the £50,000 mark.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him and to everyone who's donated to get you there?
Yeah, I think Simon's probably heard enough of me saying thank you very much. I've probably told him loads of times, but just to anyone that's helped either by donating or sharing our campaign, it's just a massive thank you, because it's your belief that we have the right to go that makes it even more special.
What do you think it says about the public when it comes to putting money over to a good cause?
No, I think it's just overwhelming for us, just to know that there's so many people out there that want to help. And I think deafness is such an invisible disability, but many people have a connection with it. Like there's so many people out there that don't necessarily have deafness themselves, but they know somebody that is deaf. And I think that's probably why we've been so successful in getting so many support, like donations and support.
And it wasn't just Simon that chipped in as well. You, as you mentioned, you got quite a lot of attention. The likes of Gary Lineker, Gary Neville, and Stephen Gerrard, all getting involved. That must have meant quite a lot to you as well.
Yeah, it did. Especially Stephen Gerrard, because he's like my role model, he's my hero. So that was a really nice one. But Gary Neville was always, like, for the past 5 years, he's been a support for us. And it's not just them donating, it's the awareness that they raise with it, because they've got such a big following. Just one retweet just reaches millions of people.
And let's talk about the football itself. You've obviously had a fight to get there. What are your hopes and aspirations as you head over to Malaysia next month?
Yeah, the ultimate goal is to win. I believe we've got the quality in the squad to do that. We haven't had best preparation with just 3 months to prepare, and we've only got 4 training camps overall, so it's not the greatest preparation to have, but I genuinely believe that we do have the quality in our team to do really well out there.
And there's also some new technology. We're always inventing new and more things in every warp of life, and that's the case for deaf football as well, isn't it? Would you like to explain a bit about some of the new technology that's going to be used over there?
Yeah, so there's been a new technology created called X-ray glass, which is a pair of glasses that connects to an app, and it brings up live subtitles, like in real time. I used it for the first time last weekend at a training camp, and it was really weird because the subtitles just come up really quickly and clearly. and it's very accurate. And it just meant that in certain situations where either I'm tired and I can't lip read, or because it's windy outside, I've still got access to communication. There's subtitles right in front of me, so I'm not missing out on anything.
What difference does that make to the game?
I think it will just open up so many doors for some of the players. I mean, some players will prefer to use sign language, which is fine, but there are some that don't know sign language and are kind of stuck in the middle. So when we go out to international competitions, we're not allowed to wear hearing devices on the pitch. So at half time, it's going to be really, really tricky for some players. Just to be able to have a piece of technology that just kind of bridges that gap will be a game changer, because it means that when we go back out after half time, we're all on the same wavelength.
Well, Claire, wish you all the best. Thank you ever so much for chatting to us today. Good luck. Go for it. You take care.
Thanks very much.
That's Claire Stancliffe, captain of the England Deaf women's football team, saying thank you to the fundraisers who have got them there to the World Cup. And also, wasn't that remarkable insight into technology that helps them play the game? We will speak to the chief fundraiser who got them there shortly.
BBC Essex.
So let's speak to the man who pretty much single-handedly orchestrated the England Deaf women's football team ability to play at the World Cup in Malaysia next month. It's a Hockley-based fundraiser and social media guru, I think we can call him, Simon Harris. Hi to you, Simon.
Hello, mate. Yeah, it's fine. I've been called far worse, you can probably imagine.
Was it nice to hear that thank you from Claire?
It was, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, it's always nice to obviously be thanked, but I think obviously at the same time we have to recognise the sheer efforts of, as with any fundraiser, the sheer efforts of every single person who took part and not only donated, but obviously everyone who shared as well. Because, I mean, a lot of people these days, they obviously don't want to put an awful lot of cash in for one reason or another, but obviously they've got a decent amount of people that they're friends with and followers, and they share it, and maybe 5 of their friends want to chip in, and you know, literally every single tiny thing helps with a fundraiser these days, because there's so many of them on social media now. You know, you really have to push and push and push to get anywhere.
Why did you decide to get involved? What was it about this story? Because, you know, you could have fundraised about a number of things, Simon. Why was it this one?
It was literally some guy tagged me in their post, because they originally set up their own fundraiser on a different platform, basically. And then somebody tagged me in the tweet saying, "Oh, Simon, is there anything that you can do about this?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, that definitely looks like something that I'd be interested in doing, because I'm into football anyway." And it just seemed like a cause. When you think about the amounts of money flying around in, I don't know what you want to call it, mainstream football or the Premier League, everything like that, needing £50,000 actually sounds like a mere drop in the ocean. So instantly it felt like something that I'd be able to achieve. I think instead of like having to raise like 20 million or something. But also because I've got a relationship with GoFundMe as well corporately, so they sort of try and help me out when I do this stuff, because I've sort of launched so many fundraisers now. I've got my own like person there who sort of helps me out account wise. So again, I was able to get in touch with GoFundMe as well, saying, "Can you push this out to all your contacts and mailing lists and everything like that?" And so again, when I was looking, I mean, because I do get tagged in an awful lot of these, and I'd really love to help with every single thing that comes through. But obviously, knowing fundraising to the extent that I know it, when something pops up, I've normally got a very good idea whether I'll be able to make it happen or not. And this just really stood out to me when it came through.
And what's it like? I mean, you say you do a lot of this, Simon, but when you put it out there and so, right, this is what I'm going to do, and you get some high profile support, that must still provide a bit of a buzz, mustn't it? You know, the names that Claire was coming out with.
It is, yeah. I mean, again, with this particular campaign, Stephen Gerrard and Gary Neville got involved on the side that they set up, and then once I got up with my GoFundMe as well, Gary Lineker very kindly shared it and donated as well. I mean, again, it's something that obviously resonated with Gary Lineker because of his background and sporting career, and also, you know, he's generally ready and willing to help with causes such as this.
And does this show the power and perhaps the good side of social media? I know you've experienced some of the as you mentioned when I came to you and called you a media guru, I know you've experienced some of the negative sides as well. But This says a lot about what social media can do, doesn't it?
I've probably started enough negatives in my time as well, if I'm being brutally honest. Not the really nasty stuff, just the fake news side possibly. But yeah, it does show. It does show the good side of social media. It shows how willing people are to help when you lay out in really simple terms, saying, "Look, this is something that you can do. It takes 2 seconds to share a tweet, share a Facebook post. It takes maybe a minute to donate if you are that way inclined. It takes a minute to do all three. It's just really about harnessing that kind of power of, this is something really, really quick that you can do to help. Because again, as I was saying before, social media now is absolutely awash with Just Givings, GoFundMe's, crowdfunders, and everything like that. And it's just so difficult now to get any kind of traction because the sheer number of campaigns that tend to fly around.
Well, Simon, we'll leave it there. Thank you for talking to me. And, well, that's another thank you for Simon because he's already had one from Claire Stancliffe, the captain of the England Deaf women's football team. So when they go to their World Cups in Malaysia next month, they were basically sent there by the efforts. Well, I mean, he'll be very humble, but, he did a fair bit towards it, getting them there. Simon Harris from Hockley. Good to chat as ever, Simon. This is ABBA.